3, 2. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Answer the Call. This is SaltEMike. I'm here with Croncy. This is a Star Citizen podcast where you can call in and, you can call in and talk about certain topics in Star Citizen. Today's topic is very general, but it is really coming around and discussing the monthly report. Features coming to Star Citizen that are being worked on now that are, some of them surprised us. Some of them, I'm assuming we were not so surprised about. But this is where we're at. And I do want to start out today with a little bit of just letting everybody know, again, this is a call-in show, so we do have a Discord, discord.gg/SaltEMike. If you guys want to share your feelings on any of the topics that we're talking about today, specifically some things that happened in the month report, anything stuck out to you, pop in the Discord and check it out, and share how you're feeling with that. But without further ado, I do want to I guess, chat a little bit about the patch notes. And we had 2 patches this week. They're on the PTU, but we didn't get a PTU going live. So, Croncy, if you want to chat a tiny bit about that for a second, I'm going to share my screen with you because we didn't do that in the beginning. And then I will, I'll get that going. But we had 2 patches. Some interesting things happened. Specifically, you want to start with like component repair? Because I could talk about that for an entire podcast, I think.
I haven't had a chance to check out component repair. Every time I tried to test out anything, my ship exploded. So that didn't go well for me.
Okay.
So I'll leave that one to you. But what I will talk about is something that I was very excited about, which is the buff to turrets at bunkers. So they have a faster fire rate, they have more health, they deal more damage than they did before, and they can hit you from further away as well, so longer range. And it has made bunkers a lot harder to land in when you've got, anything other than like a hammerhead, which is great. I think that is a good start to making bunkers just that little bit more interesting.
Okay. Yeah, I did them a bit as well, and my experience with them is we're still struggling with servers. And the problem is, they do more damage. Yeah, they shoot faster, or they take... I didn't notice that many more hits, to be honest.
Yeah, health seemed about the same, but I was definitely getting hit harder, for sure.
Fair enough. Sorry, I'm struggling getting the screen over, but the other thing that I noticed was that they could fire a little bit further away. Some people said, and let me know, did you experience this, if they were able to see larger ships further away?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so I came in at first with just like a fighter. They didn't lock me until 2 kilometers. And then I came in with a hull C, because it was kind of funny, but also I just wanted to test, see how long it would survive. They targeted me at like 9 kilometers. They still didn't start shooting me until about 2.5 kilometers, but they definitely knew I was there.
Cool. Because that was something that I think has changed, because it was always a very static thing, basically. That it was, I think, about 1,500 meters, somewhere around there. Always. Right, yeah. And then when you were 2,000 meters away, they disappeared, and if you killed them, they would come back. That kind of thing. So I think that's pretty cool. I think I can talk about component repair while trying to deal with this classic technical issue. I think I could deal with it while talking about this. So component repair was really, really interesting. Very simplistic. Very simplistic. So you can either do it with your multi-tool, an RMC in the little canister, or you could do it with the new dedicated tool with RMC in the canister. If your components are damaged below 90%, you can go up to them with these tools if you're able to reach them, click on them, and it instantly repairs them up to 90%. If you damage them again, you can repair them up to 90%. So it's not like every time you repair it goes down to 10%.
Mhm.
And I was thinking like, at first, okay, whatever. But then when you start thinking of where this could possibly go, pure speculation, pure hopium, pure copium, all this stuff, obviously. But when you start speculating like where some of this stuff can go, it's like, okay, well, can we lose components in the future? Can they be damaged
Mm.
to a point beyond repair in the future? Maybe.
Well,
That
yeah, I would surely assume so.
y- I
It feels
I
weird if you
think
couldn't.
yeah, I agree. But I don't think a lot of the community feels that way about these things. I think a lot of the community, because they play the current game,
Yeah, yeah.
right? And they're not thinking or unable to think that far ahead because
Mhm.
of where the current game is right now.
Yeah.
Is my guess. Is I think we're just in
Yeah.
a place where there's not that much complexity to those systems. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think like the concept of bringing spare parts along with you, I feel like is a big trope of the sci-fi genre.
Hmm.
Uh, especially when you're traveling for multiple days away from anywhere where you are. Not might not necessarily be the way the game works, but it definitely pops up all the time in every sci-fi show and movie that I've ever watched. Really, so
Yeah.
yeah, it would just make sense to me. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. And yeah, so I just try to think to the future of like how in depth this can get. Right? Is like maybe there's some components you can't repair. Maybe you need certain materials to repair certain components, and you could just the depth gets deeper and deeper and deeper and more interesting and more interesting and more interesting. Um,
Yeah.
and then what does that do? Is if I can only on the fly repair things, and maybe it goes down 10% every time or 5%, whatever
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
decide, and eventually breaks to zero, and I can't repair it. Then you're starting to need other people. Then you're starting
Hmm.
to need to go to a station, and the value of
Yeah.
landing at a station changes from, well, that's just where I refuel and rearm, to that's where I'm able to bring my components up to 100%.
Yeah.
And that's when you can be like, okay, well, repair is really costly then. And then everyone
Yeah.
goes, okay, that's fine. Because if I want to avoid that cost, I'll just repair with a little bit of RMC. No big deal, right? And
Yeah.
then I don't have any video of it actually for this one, but Captain Burks posted a video where he just shot I believe it was Gladius, just shot it, didn't shoot in any
Mhm.
components, and checked the price of the repair,
Yeah.
flew back out of Armistice, repaired it, brought it back, just repaired the hull, just closed it
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
It was half price, the repair. So
Okay.
like that stuff's kind of cool, just like
Yeah.
those little things, and adding that stuff is I find to be very, very cool, and very, very important to make the game be what you want it to be. But
Yep.
again, that's the hopium, portion of the stream, is like, where can they take this thing? Well, so far, taking it nowhere. Very, very simply, it's very minor, not usable, not important to
Yeah. Yeah.
use now. So it is what it is for the moment. But I think the potential of it, like with most things in Star Citizen, is endless and awesome and exciting, and I can't wait to see what
I feel
happens.
I feel like that plus like a couple of other changes that have happened in the last 6 months, that have been like mostly very, very small features that we're not using right now, are getting me a little not concerned, but I wouldn't be surprised if CRG really soon start to finally rip off the band-aid of claim timers. And like they tried it, what I think it was when 3.14 came out, maybe 3.15.
They've tried
They
it a lot, actually.
Yeah, they've tried it a lot, but there was one where they like everything was like 5 times longer.
Mhm.
But there was no features in game at that time, to not just like it was just punishing. It did
Yeah.
nothing else, right? It didn't incentivize you to do anything else. You just had to wait longer. But now it's, I don't know. Yeah, it feels a lot more like we're getting closer to incentivizing people to not backspace when they want to just get a new ship.
Yeah, and not claim when they want to get a new ship. I think
Yeah. Yeah.
one of the videos that I made was like a delivery option needs to be a thing. Like I have this ship at
Mhm.
another location. It's fine. I just need it over here. And the proper payments, punishments, or whatever to that need to
Yeah.
all exist. But I think we'll see the claim timer thing become a
Mhm.
thing when we can repair from soft death
Yeah.
or when engineering comes
Yeah,
in,
for sure.
right? And
Yeah.
then the other aspect of this side, the thing that we're discussing, that's going to be all about repairing and components stuff. Because uh, I believe you weren't here yet during the original Jumptown Wars. Am I correct?
No, I wasn't. No.
So I'm sure you know, but just in case
Yeah.
people in chat don't, um, or that are watching the show on YouTube don't, the components that you had, if you upgraded them during those times, and this was like insane PvP going on at this time, you lost them forever. If your ship died,
Yeah. Yeah.
you went back to stock.
Yeah.
That
I was there
could,
for that because that happened for a while. Yeah.
yeah, that could happen again,
Yeah.
potentially.
Possibly. Yeah.
Whether people want that or not, that is a whole nother question. That it could be way too punishing. It could. I'm not
Mhm.
saying that it should be one way or another. I don't know what the best choice is for the game overall, and I think CIG needs to make the best choice overall and
Yeah.
not be insanely punishing and insanely problematic. My little
Yeah.
suggestion would be like, bro, if you're fighting in Pyro and you bring up get updated components, you should lose them all. If you're fighting
Yeah.
in Stanton, we got another. It's a whole nother story. You know, if you're
Yeah.
fighting in I don't know, Terra, how are you fighting in Terra? So that's I don't know, but
Yeah.
that's sort of how I feel about it, and we
Mhm.
can go on from there. And again, I do just to touch on a little bit, tiny bit more. I did have a video on the turrets, so I
Yeah.
don't know. Uh, like my experience with the turrets was
Mhm.
pretty uh meh, I would say. They did some damage, but
Yeah.
I was, as you could see, strafing kind of
Yeah.
slow, and I wasn't getting
Yeah.
hit.
The accuracy is still a problem for sure.
Yeah, like
Um.
where are you
Yeah.
shooting, bro? Right? So
But I will
that's
say, yeah, anytime I did get hit, it was way more. Like I went down in a Reliant because I thought, this might not be a bad idea to test out, and it essentially got one shot. Like
okay.
it was so quick, um, and it made me want to go get a ground vehicle to drive into the location, which is kind of why I said it's a step in the right direction because I want to sort of be forced into those situations. But at that stage, I'm just driving there because like there's nothing I get to do with the vehicle other than just
Yeah.
drive there. Like I want to be able to maybe shoot some targets on the ground as I'm coming in or something like that. But yeah.
Yeah, and I think the Pyro preview kind of shared their
Mhm.
their I guess foreshadowed a little bit more of like, yo, there's gonna be a lot of targets on the ground.
Yeah.
You're gonna want to use a ground vehicle because you're gonna probably get killed if the AI are even, would could be considered bad.
Mhm.
If even if they're bad, the amount of AI you're coming up against, you'd likely end up dying if you weren't in a more defensible situation, like a vehicle
Yeah.
at some of those outposts, right? If they were hostile towards you.
Mhm.
The other thing that I really thought, the only reason I really thought this happened, Siege of Orison. I think they're trying to
Yeah.
resolve issues with that.
Yeah. Probably. Which there is supposed to be a playtest like tonight in like I think it's like 6 hours or something when I checked
Yeah,
that they're going to be doing on the current patch. So
you
we'll see
gonna
if
test
anything
it?
does happen. No, I'm going to go to sleep because that'll be it's 2 a.m. now. That'll be like 8 a.m. So
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
I'm not testing it because it said you can only test it once per server because there's a huge bug that it just breaks and doesn't replay.
Oh,
So,
fun. Yeah, that'll be
yeah,
a hassle.
it's like, what are we gonna server? I was just like, all right, next
Yeah, yeah.
playtest, maybe I'll try it, but that's where we are with that. We do have one caller. I'm not sure about what they want to talk about. If it was this subject, it's Gamers Cafe. Let us know in chat, gamers, if before we move on to another subject, if you wanted to touch on this or on something related to the next subject, which would be some of the monthly report stuff. So
Yeah.
hopefully
I
he
will.
hears.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's about what's coming. So, okay, cool. So
yeah,
we can move on then.
Yeah, I will say there's one more thing from the patches, which
Okay.
is just that the economy team is once again continuing to fix some things, which we'll find out about in the monthly report. Uh, they're nerfing the bounty cargo drops essentially.
Yep.
It'll probably continue to get nerfed, but they're working on that too. So that's good. Yeah.
Because they were terrible. They were
Yeah.
really like, yeah, we needed that.
Yep.
And I think anybody who would argue against that would be doing it in to just benefit themselves, I feel like.
Yeah, you don't understand, Mike. I want to be able to buy every ship in the game twice over in 3 hours. That's what this game means to me.
Oh, I actually have another thing as well
Mhm.
that was in the patch. So I will switch here. Okay, so yeah, I'm still figuring out some of the technical issues with this. Is that
Yeah, good.
I did switch it behind the scenes, but here we are. The one major fix that I think we really need to improve group play. This improves piracy. This improves mining. This improves cargo hauling. This is needed for freight elevators really bad. Is 2 people need to be able to touch a box at the same time with the tractor beam and not have it ruin everything. That is marked both fixed and broken in the most recent patch. It's broken. Sadly, I tested it here with my friend Meatley. And yeah, so we both touch the same box. Everything looks fine. It doesn't say supporting. We're like, oh, it's good. And I can't do anything with the box.
Yeah.
It's just as desync, just as broken as it was before. So they still need to go back to the drawing board on that one, unfortunately. So yeah, Sag. But hopefully,
it feels like such a complex problem to try to get 2 people to be able to, or more than 2 people even, to be able to tractor beam the same item and have the servers communicate position and status of that object. At this, I truly do not envy them for this bug. So much that I would just rather them remove it and just make it that you can only have one person use it, because it's just insane.
Fair. Absolutely. All right. Monthly report?
Yeah.
That was, I mean, guys, if we didn't, when did they, I feel like they did not say that we were going to get a monthly report this week. I felt like we talked about it last week. We were going to get it much later in the month. And
we thought we were.
Okay,
and
so
then
we speculated.
The next day we had our This Week in Star Citizen.
Yep.
And they said, yeah, we're getting it.
Thank
so yeah, it was just
God. Thank God, because there was something to talk about this week on live streams, on whatever. I talked about it in Week in Review, that it's just nice to be able to just have something to consume and have something to discuss. It is very hard to go 3-4 weeks. And not just as a content creator, but just as a fan of the game. I feel like I just slowly start to lose passion for the game when they aren't talking about it often. But then at the same time, there are other projects that I follow that do monthly updates. And man, I just wait in anticipation for the monthly update. And then I watch them, and it's just like, oh my God, look at all the things they've done this. So yeah.
I think
so we kind of got our monthly update here.
We went from such a dense 3 months from October, right? Onwards. And then it was Christmas break and then just nothing. I feel like it's that as well, right? We just went from 100 to 0.
That's
but
true.
yeah, so it's the November and the December monthly report. The big reason why it's more probably informative than other reports is the reports directly after CitizenCon. This is what they went back to work on the second CitizenCon finished.
Which is the 12 months or so, these are the things we're trying to get to you. And that is this is, so that's kind of where we come to the title of the features that are coming to 2024. I guess early 2024. These are the features that they're trying to get to us. We heard Jared talk about it on an ISC, listing off all the things, But in reality, Jared can make all the lists he wants, but the monthly report is usually the most indicative of what's actually being worked on and what they're actually planning on sharing with us. So we're going to start out with the most dramatic one, I think, from my perspective. Me and Croncy had little discussions off stream about it. The Arena Commander team, they talked about some things. We'll start off with the fact that they're making the good stuff, the stuff that they're actually working on. That they're making 2 new modes, a few racetracks, and a Gravlev track as well. This is stuff that I wasn't able to get video of to share with you guys. Like, there is a video of the Gravlev track out there on Twitter. We'll probably link it in the description, actually, for you guys, to be honest. With that, I should have done that. But they're doing stuff, right? And they're doing stuff, but then we get this news that they are being moved to the persistent universe. And I'll let you start about how you feel about it, because I think, a lot stronger about this than your average, maybe.
Yeah. So the specific wording was the features team focused on closing out essential refactors and polish tasks before they transition to supporting the persistent universe in a more permanent capacity. So the way that I sort of read this and perceive this is that it's the people that were, well, it wouldn't even be the people that are making the maps, because that's level design. So I guess it is, the people that are making
the game modes
the
and
modes,
supporting the issues of said game modes.
Yeah. And so first, it's a great thing just because we get more work on PU. That's awesome.
Yes.
And it's from a team that has been doing decent work over the course of the last 6 months or so. At least we've been seeing it since the last 6 months. Into probably one of the most popular features of 2023, I would argue, right? Like, the amount of people that have been in Gun Rush and just Arena Commander in general has been huge.
Yeah.
And so the devs are good. They're good devs moving into the project, into the PU. The bad thing is, I guess, is that at least for the moment, there won't be any major features for Arena Commander. I still expect small game modes, like small experimental modes. Although I think some experimental modes will be in regardless of the Arena Commander team, if you know what I mean. Like, it'll be that's the tool for them to put experimental modes in. That's not the Arena Commander team working on it, sort of thing.
Do you remember the really exciting thing about the last monthly report from the Arena Commander team?
No.
They mentioned Theaters of War.
Oh, yeah, they were having a look at Theaters of War. Yes.
Do you believe that's something that is still happening now that we know this change exists? Do you think they knew back then? And do you think it's still something that they plan on trying to deliver?
Now, you didn't say that when we were talking the other day, and now you
No, I just thought about it. I just thought about it now.
That's actually kind of huge, because I think the way that then reads is we looked into it and is deprioritized, right? We're not going to do it right now, at least.
Well, I think the one thing to make very clear is that the team that writes up that monthly report is not the team that decides whether or not Arena Commander is a priority. Right?
Yeah, no, not at all. Yeah.
So the team that works on Arena Commander most likely would like some of their things to be a priority, like the guys that we're seeing on screen. And the team that works on Arena Commander might be really happy with moving to the PU. We don't know.
Yeah.
The one thing that I will say, and DJ is here in Twitch chat, is that I asked him live while I was reacting to the monthly report, does this mean Arena Commander's dead? And he said, it'll die over my dead body. But it does. But based on that, it does sound like it is being deprioritized, right? So you can take the good of he will support it as best as he can, and the bad of it's going to be really hard to support it the best as he can without a full support of a team and guys that are working on other things, right? So we could take the good and we could take the bad. I am extraordinarily frustrated by this change, and the reason that I'm extraordinarily frustrated by this change is I can't remember the name of the team initially that
Mhm.
uh, that DJ I think even came from, because I'm pretty sure it came from another studio that CIG ended up working with, and then
Like Fire Sprite?
yeah, Fire Sprite. Exactly.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
you go. So they were like working with those guys, and then they ended up consuming some of those guys from the team and making that
Mm,
Arena Commander feature team, right? That's years of work that have gone
yeah.
into this that, in my opinion, just my opinion, are now completely wasted. The reason, not maybe not completely, but very close to wasted, because we've been here before. This is a thing that happened already. I was there when
Mm,
they made uh, Star Marine in
mm,
2.6.1. I was there in the studio while they were building it in LA.
yeah.
And it was a priority then. And then I watched it become not a priority. Watch Sean Tracy go and work on something else because the PU is more important. And I'm watching it happen again. And what happened to Star Marine? What happened to Arena Commander? Menus broke. You couldn't get into all these little things. If you let the cobwebs collect, it's going to break. And what is so nice about Arena Commander now is, yeah, they dusted all the cobwebs off, and you still the previous experience existed, but they also took it to another level where I sometimes come to my computer late at night. I don't feel like going to sleep yet, and play a couple rounds of Gun Rush, and like people in chat are like,
Yeah.
SaltEMike's in the game. I didn't expect to see you here at this time, right? And it's like, yeah, sorry, man, I'm just
Salty
enjoying.
Mike's on 015? What's going on?
No, I usually do okay. All right, all right. But
Yeah.
yeah, the like that's actually the thing that I'm afraid we're going back to, and that
Yeah.
frustrates me. Is that just make up your mind, CIG. If you're going to make this team, let them see it out. They talked about
Yeah.
so many other aspects of the direction they wanted to go with this game, not just Theaters of War, but
Mm.
they mentioned rewards and like basically
Yeah,
essentially
like
making
ladders
it,
and stuff possibly,
yeah,
and
like a
yeah.
standalone thing. That all sounds like it's gone. That all sounds like it is now deprioritized.
Yeah.
Once again, we could take it in the other direction of, well, maybe we should make the game first, and then we can make Star Marine this really like awesome experience. And maybe that's
Yeah.
what's going to happen. And maybe that's okay. We won't know, but I certainly am annoyed by the fact that we've already been here once and we're making the same damn mistakes again. And talking
Yeah.
about
If it
Theaters of War a month, like 2 months ago, and now you're killing it. It's just like, come on, guys, with this stuff. You can't keep doing it.
Yeah. The way for me that it makes it that would make it not too bad of a decision uh, would be if we still get private lobbies, we still get a spectator mode, and we still get some form of uh, like skill based matchmaking of some kind. I don't think those are going to happen now,
Maybe
um,
not.
and so I am a little bit disappointed. But if they still happen, I don't think there's many other features that the game that Arena Commander would need in order to be. You don't need to do much for this for the next couple of years.
Yep.
Um,
And
yeah.
another a positive take on it is, if you know the racetracks, that
Mhm.
was a labor of love. Some
Yeah.
dev wanted to do that. Um, Other aspects of the game have been labors of love that were not prioritized by CIG, and they were done in their own time by developers,
Yeah.
right? This happens all the time. It sounds like we have that passionate developer that is willing to still keep this their labor of love, but under, one or a few can only do so much. So we'll
Yeah.
see how well that goes, but there
Yeah.
there is
It
that
also
positive
it
that it
sounds
could be fine.
yeah, and it sounds like the possibility, like once again, it's mostly like game modes and stuff that sound like they may not come in. I think things like racetracks and things like there's a wording that they use somewhere in here. Um enabling streaming in Arena Commander. So there are still things around it that are going to happen, or at least they're looking into. Um, so yeah,
But it's a
uh,
2 month
yeah,
old month or it's a 2 months a
yeah,
month
that as well.
report.
Yeah,
So it's like maybe before they decided to move all these guys to the PU, they did all this work to get features
yeah,
in from the PU into Arena Commander, and then they were like, "Oh, by
yeah,
the way, yeah, you guys are good, so we need you over here." And it's like,
yeah,
yeah, we do need you, but the thing is, we do need them over there. And I
yeah,
think that's probably where we leave that conversation is
yeah,
overall, it's probably the right decision, right? But that
yeah,
doesn't mean that
yeah,
you can't be disappointed in the fact that they had to make this
yeah.
decision for something that I'm a huge fan of. So
Yeah, exactly. And like they're presumably moving on to important and fun work, right? Like things that we will hopefully enjoy. So
yeah, yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Next, uh, a minor thing. The
Hmm.
mission team is fixing a major bottleneck, and if you've ever played in the PU, they are addressing timers on how long you have to complete
Hmm.
missions because those timers are incredibly long to allow you to deal with bugs. They are
Yeah.
removing some of that stuff now because if you've ever tried to do bunker missions or certain other missions, you just sometimes don't have any missions on your mission board. And the reason you don't
Yeah.
have any missions on your mission board is because all of those missions are being occupied or have
Yeah.
stalled and have broken, and players have not abandoned them.
Yeah. Yeah. So
So,
it does two things. It fixes that problem of just not being able to do the missions.
yeah,
But I also think a lot of missions should have that urgency. If I go and do like a regular bunker mission to kill 10 hostiles, right? Like, barely any at all.
hmm
The fact that I have infinite time to go and complete that mission at the moment uh is, I don't know, it's kind of boring. I want to be a little bit concerned that I might not get there in time, or I might not get that last kill in time, just in general.
or like just don't take the mission before you're in this like like oh I'm gonna take this mission while I'm all the way in microtech and then fly all the way to ArcCorp.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of goofy.
Oops, I died halfway there. Now I've got to go get a new one, new ship, and do it again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I am just trying to message Gamers Cafe and see if we are on the same subject or like we can uh if we're going to talk about some things. So
Yeah.
I'm just going to ask him what he's talking about. But
Yeah.
we could jump into the next one real quick, which is creatures. Creatures,
Yeah,
creatures,
that's
creatures. That was the
that's the
thumbnail.
biggest one.
That's
Yeah.
the, that is our title kind of
Yeah.
thing that it was the most surprising thing, I would say,
Yeah.
from the monthly report. So I'll let you
Yep.
take it away.
Yeah. So for probably the second half of last year, every few monthly reports or an ISC, they would talk about creatures and voids, but it was very little for the most part what they were talking about, and it's mentioned like 3 or 4 times in this monthly report for November and December.
Multiple sections, yeah.
Multiple sections, multiple different types of creatures. They explicitly mention a four-legged predator, which is just Mike getting on all fours and running at you in the forest.
Very slowly.
And it sounds amazing. It sounds really good. I was talking to my chat today, and I was like, "Well, what features do we expect are going to be in a three? What patch are we in now? We're in 322 now.
322,
What
and
do
on
we
the
think is going to be
PTU,
in
PTU is
yeah,
322.0A.
a yeah, yeah. So what do we expect is going to be the big features in 323? I think we're going to see our first creatures. They went really, really hard on it as well at CitizenCon, obviously, where they like revealed. At the very least, we've got some animations for some creatures. Whether or not they work or anything is a completely different story. But you know, they were there and they worked. Yeah, I'm thinking they're coming, and CRG are going really hard on it in this monthly report.
I think, and just because I was adminning in the background, I might have missed what you were saying on this, and I might be repeating something. I think the thing that
That's
surprised me the most was the four-legged predator, because
Yep.
we saw creatures at the CitizenCon
Mhm.
demo. We did not see a four-legged predator.
No. Yep.
And I don't know if you touched on what you thought it might be I
Well,
like
I said it would be you. I don't know.
Yeah, I
I don't know what
know.
it'll be. I think probably like some type of wolf type creature. I don't think it'll be the boreal stalker
I kind of
because
I speculated with you before the show that I thought it
yeah,
might be because it's got theoretically
it's
4
got two
legs.
arms. It's got arms. It's on its hind legs,
I mean,
right?
is a
Like,
bear a 4-legged creature? No, probably not.
uh, I don't know. This is a real philosophical like debate about what four-legged
That's
creature
true.
means.
Yeah.
But regardless, I think it'll be fantastic. So, um, hopefully that happens. And then they also so they mentioned birds, they mentioned fish, they mentioned boids. But if and I'll quickly glance over again. But I think they mentioned birds and fish separately from boids. Now that may be just
Yes.
because hey, these are the creatures that we're making, and we're going to give them the boids' behaviors,
Yeah,
right?
you
And then
can't
that's how they'll
tell.
work. Or if they're their own thing,
Yeah.
right? Are they their own
Like,
thing? They might be.
is the thing that we're showing on the screen the 4-legged creature? And then is there a thing similar to this that is a fish? Is there a thing similar to
Yeah,
this
yeah.
that is a bird? Like its own, like maybe like more like a hero type creature instead of, hey,
Yeah,
look out there in the distance, there's birds flying around. Because I think in
mm,
other sections of animation or in the past they discussed how we would interact with them, like
mm.
ragdoll states and things like that. So it's I don't know. I mean, I'm sure you can shoot at a flock of birds
Yeah.
or whatever. But I'm very curious about this. This was the most like intriguing stuff because it was just
Mm.
like, whoa, what? Like I know we were
Yeah.
expecting the space cow, and I thought a lot of us were just like,
Yeah.
oh, they're just gonna graze over there. Maybe you could shoot them and like pull some stuff off of them. But I thought it was gonna be
Yep.
pretty simplistic. But then when they say predator, it adds that extra layer of danger, I guess, and that's sort
Yeah.
of what it changed for me.
And theoretically, there's the way that I hope that it does come in, if it does come in the next 6 months, is that we get them not just randomly, but along with missions. Because I feel like that presumably the way that uh, oh my god, what's his name? He's gonna hate me so much. He looks 16 years old.
A
Oh
developer.
yes, he looks super young. I
But
can't
what do
remember
they
his name
work
at all.
on?
He does missions all the time.
Oh, Elliot.
Elliot, thank you.
Yeah.
The way that Elliot has talked about the way that the mission modules works in the past is that it's very easy to port some of those missions over. So when he has a mission like an eliminate all or eliminate specific and stuff like that, presumably you can apply that to these animals. And so maybe we
Mm,
have a little hunt or something like that, so we actually have a reason to go out and find them.
yeah.
Um,
By the
yeah.
way, I didn't think Elliot looked 16.
Oh, he looks so young.
He looks young, yeah,
Freaks me out.
but I just think he's he's not a bearded gentleman. That's basically it. Because there are some guys that work there that look much younger. I think.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah. All right. I mean, I guess I'd kind of like to bring in our first caller, Gamers
Yeah.
Cafe, because I chatted and
So
I think that's pretty solid in terms of the discussion topics that
mhm.
we covered already is stuff that he wanted to.
Yeah.
So let's bring him in. Gamers, welcome to the show. Can you hear us? Everything loud and clear?
I hear you fine, Mike. How are you, buddy?
Good. Oh
Hey,
God,
Fantastic.
2 Australians.
I was going to say, Croncy, Aussie.
I gotta get out of here. I'll see you later.
You've killed Mike. We've
Eh?
colonized the states.
Yeah.
Everybody, we're taking over Mike's stream.
What do you want to chat
But
about
seriously,
today?
well, just quick, if they want to talk about predators, maybe we should get
Mhm.
some of the Aussie, like, spiders and snakes and stuff that we have in Australia. And,
Yeah, you know all
you
about
know,
that stuff, right?
yeah, like, Crocodile Dundee, we're living the wildlife down here, bro. We can send some of them over to America and, be like, hey, guys, yeah.
Just
Get
we
cassowary.
need the giant
Emu.
Bowie knife, right?
Oh, yeah. This is the knife, buddy. Yeah, but to be honest, as for the features, look, to be honest, everything that's coming in 2024 is looking really, really good. Like, I know base building. Like, I think we all have the same sort of view that it's possibly going to be there. Maybe they'll get it at the end. Maybe, I did hear that there was some sort of scuttlebutt where they were talking about they were going to start bringing the basic version of it in within like the first patch for the year.
Don't
But I
hold your
think that's
breath
pretty.
on any of this
No,
stuff.
Yeah,
it's all concepting this
yeah,
first 3 months. So we might hear
yeah,
something in like a monthly report about what they've been doing.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
we'll have to at the very least wait for next month for that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was going to say I think
just stick to
it's going to be
roadmap
pretty.
roundup, stick to the
Yeah,
panels on the road on the actual road, because those are the things that sometimes those don't make it in. And we're really gonna
yeah,
just make these wild guesses when they said they were gonna start development on the feature in Q1. Q1's 14 days old.
yeah, yeah.
Relax.
And that's what my point was going to be, was basically like, is even if we don't get base building, but we get things like the star map, if we get the engineering and all this sort of stuff coming through, and the new Mobi-Glass, like, even if I have to do like lose base building, which is like fine, whatever, but like the rest of the stuff that's coming in, like, it's looking really good for this year. And even if we get like half of what they promised, I'm still going to be happy as a pig in mud. But I'm really looking forward to, like, the engineering is the big thing. Creatures is a big thing. The star map, I think we've all
Can we
done our time.
stop you on something? I want to talk about engineering for a second, because when was
Yeah, sure.
engineering supposed to come in? How was engineering supposed to come in, guys? How are we supposed to test it?
Was that 2018?
No.
2018?
No. It was supposed to be an Arena Commander experimental mode.
Yeah.
Now what do we do?
Well, okay, so as for
I still think that can happen, as I was kind of mentioning before. I think
I hope
experimental
so.
modes will still happen.
I hope so.
Yeah, that as well. I also hope so. Like,
Yeah.
I think it will, but I hope. Yeah.
But
So
now
the
it's
stuff
kind
with
of in
your-
flux, right? We don't, like, it's like
Yeah.
up in the air. Who knows? They have to
Yeah,
tell
exactly.
us
Well,
that they're still going to happen.
the stuff with the Arena Commander, I think there's a big difference between the team that works on Arena Commander and ironing out all the cobwebs, as you were saying, and the other teams who then go through and import stuff for the experimental mode. For example, I don't think the Arena Commander team is the one that's putting in, like, the new flight model. I think that's done by the team that does the flight model. And
Obviously,
I think that the Arena,
yes.
and the Arena Commander team is just there just to make it so that the Arena Commander shell. So even if they're not specifically there, it still doesn't mean we're still not going to get these new systems, because they're not the ones that would be importing it generally.
No, but who are the ones that import it?
I think it still can be done by the flight team.
Into Arena Commander?
Yeah, maybe it's Copium, but we'll see.
I think the people that import it into Arena Commander are the Arena Commander team, and those guys are now working on something else. So that's like one of my fears. I mean, DJ's here. I don't know how much he can say. If he does say anything, I promise to the guys who are watching this live on YouTube, I'll tell you what he says in the Twitch chat, okay? But that's, again, where I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
I think regardless, it sounds like someone is getting shafted for having to do more work than they had to previously, which sucks. So
And maybe that's what Chris has thought, right? Is at the end of the day is, why have these 5 guys sitting around on Arena Commander when I can have them working on the PU, and then the team that's working on the actual module can just import it themselves? Is it shafting them? Sure, it's causing more work for them. But also, maybe they know the system better that they're bringing in. It could be Copium, it could be, I don't know. But
the team that would know the system better is the ones that are moving to the persistent universe. Know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, that's why we're still kind of like, this is good, because they're great devs and they're going on to and doing presumably awesome features that we're going to get to see work on. But like a feature that we really enjoy is getting resources removed from it.
Yeah, and another quick note, like, if you guys did the platinum ticket thing, that was as far as I'm aware, that was like in combination with the Arena Commander team and the mission team working like kind of tandem there. So like, this has kind of gradually been a thing that was already going on anyway. And you can argue, I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of the platinum ticket thing for obvious reasons that were like the marketing reasons, but I don't think we can argue against how cool of an event that actually was outside of the the just other
the money.
the outside stuff that isn't really
Yeah, yeah.
relevant to the conversation. So it's hard to make these arguments that this is entirely bad, but it's hard to make arguments that it's entirely good as well, right? So
I think
Yeah.
we just gonna have to see what happens.
Agreed.
And look, I imagine if it goes pear shaped, I imagine there's going to be 20 different YouTubers all jumping up and down, and CIG will definitely hear about the end of it. And if it does go
they're not
good,
going to care, and they shouldn't. The focus has to be on the PU. I think a lot of us
Yeah.
would agree about that.
I also think I don't think that there would be as much of an uproar necessarily, because even though Arena Commander has had this resurgence since the rework, I still think the most of the players still don't play it.
Content creators don't play it.
Yeah.
Guys,
Yeah,
I jump into Gun Rush when I'm losing my mind and want to blow off some steam, knowing that I will lose minimum 5 to 10% of the more of the people watching live on Twitch while I'm playing it, just because it is not. I mean, first off, I'm bad. Second, it is not the same engaging type conversational whatever reasons that people come to my stream. I already know that it's bad for that. So most creators, I don't think, are going to be up in arms, because most creators want PU things to talk about, would be my guess.
True.
All the other creators are actually good at the format, and they're good at winning games, so they don't,
True,
they don't lose viewers when that happens.
there actually are some YouTube videos of like how to be good at like Star Marine and stuff, like I've seen, and it's some good stuff. Those guys are gonna be upset, probably. To
be honest, I don't know when the last time I signed into Arena Commander is. I have no idea. I can't remember.
Fair enough, and I think that you are not in the minority. Right, you're probably the majority of Star Citizen backers there.
Yeah,
but we kind of not we. I'll speak. I kind of jumped on your call a little bit, Gamer. So feel free to share some of the other things you wanted to.
Like I said, engineering obviously is the big thing. As I've said to you before, I'm doing the machinima, and we need that for the engineering for that. So I'm a little bit, self-invested when it comes to that, I suppose.
Aren't we all?
But at the end of the day, like, engineering is looking fantastic. The fact that we can, withdraw oxygen from rooms, we can put fires out, we can, repair components, maybe even do like fixing like self-death, getting ships so that we can stop, respawning new ships or claiming ships all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Start actually playing the game like a game.
No way. That would be crazy, bro. Why would you want to do that?
But like, even like the creatures, like, like I say, I'd love to go to a planet and have like this stalker or like this like alien sort of like thing chasing us, and like we're like, like me and all you guys are sort of like running, and we're like firing and trying to get back to the ship, and all these aliens are running after us, and like that sort of stuff. Like, that's the stuff that I want to see. And all that stuff is very much realistically this year.
I do want to point out, because it sort of comes up here, engineering, as well as a lot of other features that were talked about at CitizenCon, are completely absent from the monthly report.
Yeah.
Just absent from the I was gonna say Thursday, Friday. Those are the Novembers and Decembers of the week, so that's fine. Nothing in there at all, which is really interesting.
What did the gameplay section talk about? I can't even remember. Was there even one?
We got features Arena Commander, features mission. No features gameplay.
And I think engineering is slated for middle of this year anyway. So
they just said by the end of the year. There was.
Where were you getting slated from?
Yeah, there was a mention of. Oh no, I'm thinking master modes. Yeah, no, they just said by the end of the year, essentially.
I thought sitcom. They said it was by the second quarter.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, actually, he might be right on that. I feel like that they did touch on something like that, but again, why even say it? Why even say it? But yeah, gamers. Anything else you want to touch on before? Because we got a few callers that we should probably get to.
No, that's it. Thanks, guys. Enjoy, and
thank you.
Aussie.
Oi. Have a good one, bro. Thanks for chatting.
Catch you, mate.
All right, so that was gamers. And we got Space Monkey Business coming up next. I think we'll take him, chat a little bit more,
Yep.
and then come to our last caller. So
good.
Space, hello, becoming a
How you doing?
regular,
Hello. Hello.
becoming a
How
regular,
you
man.
doing?
How are you?
Yeah, good, good. Happy New Year,
Happy
because
New Year
last
to you.
time,
Yeah, you too.
thank you very much. And I think I have the task now to balance out the continents with Europe. So,
True. Thank you for that.
to the engineering, I think Gamers Cafe thought about that because of I think they had an SCL where Torsten said they aiming for Q2 this
Okay.
year. That's
Mm,
as far as I remember, that was the place where
I
they
do
mentioned that.
recall now. Yes, that sounds right.
All right, I wanted to mention, maybe, I don't know, I can't remember the technical details of it, but it has to do with the persistent hangers,
Okay.
and that's a topic I've not heard in a while, because I don't know if it's called like this, because when you play like MNOs, you have all the raids and all this stuff where they use instancing, and
Mhm.
do you think they use that technique in Star Citizen for the hangars? And if they do so, could it also mean they use instancing for something like the raids on the UGF bunkers?
I'll let you go
So
first,
there's
Croncy.
yeah.
I know somewhat for sure the answer to this question.
Ooh,
I'm
okay.
just debating whether or
Go
not
ahead.
I'm
Yeah.
allowed to
I-
say it.
He's gonna base it off what I say.
No.
So
I actually have concrete information, but I just don't know
oh
if it was
damn,
leaked or if it was said in my Twitch chat. I'm
Mike's
99%
got
sure
the email
it
from
was said in my
Chris.
Twitch chat.
Okay.
So the I don't believe they haven't mentioned persistent hangers specifically for a little while, because they've been focusing more specifically on the freight elevators, which is probably the most important part of persistent hangers, because it's how we're going to
Mm.
actually access our items, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is, the last time they did mention it, I do believe they said very likely to be instanced, because otherwise you have a ton of issues where when there's 300 people on Hurston all trying to get into hangars, you either have to have the hangars themselves move into locations that they can be, spawned from, or you have to just have hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of hangars, right? It's an inevitable problem that would come up with that. So my that's my remembering and understanding of it.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's what I heard too. I did have a conversation with a developer that no longer works there that was very similar, but in a different ilk of like, how would the instancing work? So it was always that they will be instanced conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't want to share the details of that because it was definitely, now that I remember, it was in DMs between me and him. But so it would be not appropriate, but they don't work there anymore, so it's not that big of a deal. But it basically confirmed instancing.
Yeah, no, I'm fairly sure I've heard that publicly.
You definitely
So,
did.
yeah.
It was the dude from LA. Fuck, he was at actually the Orlando Bar Citizen. He made the soft death thing. Yeah. So I could see his face. I'm sure chat will remind me of his name. Chad McKinney, actually. They haven't said it yet, but that's who it was.
Oh, I know
He
that name,
specifically
yeah.
said, Chad said that it would be instance. And for the reasons that you said, it's like,
Yeah.
we want to maintain the locations that we have now looking and feeling the way they do. And it would
Yeah,
be
you don't want it
insane
to be
to have
absurd.
1,000
Just-
hangars. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like imagine the FPS
Well,
at Microtech.
yeah, but it would also be great for the experience of a raid, wouldn't it? Because I don't know how it works technically, if it's like a specific mini server, mesh server that handles that load, or how is
Yeah.
it?
We
How is
don't.
I
the
was definitely
load of this?
interesting,
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think that they shared the technical side of that, though. They just shared that they would be instanced for those reasons.
Yeah.
What would be good
I don't
for
know
the
if it would be good
performance?
for raids. I don't know if it would. I think one of the big appeals of Star Citizen is that when I go to do a mission, there is a possibility that I can meet someone else there, or that
Yeah.
someone else can it can influence my day, whether good
Mm.
or bad.
True.
Yeah, I think it's an important part of Star Citizen that I wouldn't want to be removed.
Yeah,
But it had also like positive effects on the performance of NPCs, maybe. I don't know.
Not necessarily, because it's the one area, right? It'd only influence if it was if they had one bunker that had 20 raids going on it at the same time.
I'm kind of with Croncy here, and I definitely heard this from Elliot when I was Elliot Malpe, who works on the mission team, works on Siege of Horus, and when I said I just feel like Siege would be way better off instanced, because then
Siege, yes.
Siege, yeah, right. Like it just plays perfectly with you get a group of your 10 or so friends and you move through the platforms slowly, and you're not watching another group finish platforms before you, and it's just be like a weird experience. It just and he was in my Twitch chat, so this was public and we can share it. Is he goes, yeah, but that's not Star Citizen. So it kind of fits a lot in line with what Croncy said. Like the idea that somebody can fly to it by themselves and be a part of that is part of Star Citizen. So it is really, really difficult for them. Like I'm with Space. I do want some things to be instance, like definitely Siege, and a few
I haven't
other
thought
things.
about Siege itself. That's a big one for sure.
Yeah, but it has to be rare occurrences. I feel like these raid type scenarios, like the point that he brought up of the large underground bunkers, right? Maybe we need that. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's
an interesting topic.
If only we had an arena commander team that could
run the entire game. Arena commander. But I guess what we really need to have happen is similar to what's happening with Siege, and just be like, we got to try everything with the Star Citizen model, and then the last effort would be to just instance it, maybe. And not that that's happening, by the way. There's been zero discussion about that. It's just at some point you either scrap it or you make it work, and they're trying to make it work, and that's good too. So we talked about the turrets and everything, and maybe that creates a no need for the instancing thing. But I don't think we'll know until we get the underground bunkers in and they see how we interact with them. So I'm sort of with you, Space. I'd like to see maybe some sort of instancing there, but who knows?
Well, that gives them an option to deal with maybe performance issues, and options are always good. Like if you have the additional technology where you can decide, okay, we want to do it like this way or that way, or it depends on how the performance is or how it is welcomed or how the feedback is. So it's good for them to have that.
Absolutely.
The second topic for me is more of a meta topic, but it aligns with the feature discussion, because I'm interested in, I don't know if I saw it on one of your videos, Mike. Maybe you remember that, even though I know that your remembering isn't always working. And you had a video where you yeah, I know. You had a video where you watched about, I think, Valve and how they developed Portal. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, maybe
I remember worthless information, not important information.
I think that's a very valuable information, because they said they do it with playtests, a lot of playtests. So my question is, could CIG use that method of playtesting or gathering feedback in a different way to bring out, I don't know, we've seen glimpses of gameplay. We've not seen a complete system. It's just like,
what do you think the last 5 years have been?
Yeah. The thing is, how could CIG improve their process of creating like a feedback channel for the players? I see some
by listening to the feedback and acting on it in an appropriate amount of time. We've spoken about that a lot on this channel. They have burned bridges with this community way too many times with the issue council, and marking bugs fixed when they're not, archiving things when they're not. And I think a lot of people have feel burnt and don't feel like testing anymore. I am one of those people. I was extraordinarily frustrated with the timeline of 320's release, because I communicated very clearly in every channel I possibly had how unready that patch was for live and how unplayable that patch was for live, and they shipped it anyway. And I said, you know what? I'm done. I'm no longer contributing to issue council reports. I'm no longer making any of them. If a dev comes to chat and says, hey, can you check this thing out? That's a different story. The devs don't decide when a patch goes live, but I am not contributing in that way anymore.
You have also the issue that using Spectrum for that isn't really a focused method. You just like create a post and then everybody can reply to that, but it's not. There's no focus on the feedback. There's no structure within it.
Yeah.
So you cannot. It's hard to get a feeling, a glimpse for that, because maybe like surveys would be a better method. Maybe like very specific questions regarding specific gameplay attributes would be better, and then maybe just rate it from, I don't know, 1 to 5, 1 to 10. That would be a structured feedback, and what they have is very unstructured, or at least I have the feeling it's very unstructured.
One of the I don't think the devs come to this channel because they like me. I think the devs come to Twitch channels because it's the best way to see how their feature is working.
But here's the issue: you are one of millions of players, so you're biased in some, because you're a specific player type.
But they don't need to listen to my opinion. They just need to see what's on the screen.
Yeah, but what can work for you might not work for another person. What I wanted to see is like maybe a broader picture where you say, okay, the sample size is too small. You as a single person can have influence. Maybe you can also have like a negative influence because you only see it out of your view. And maybe this is not the broader view. I don't know how they want to see it. But it is valuable, at least. But for me, it would be really interesting to see that they implement some processes, some methods to get a more structured feedback, not like Spectrum posts.
Fair enough.
I feel like
I don't know.
I feel like a lot of that topic and a lot of that discussion is such a relevant thing for like last week's pod, where we're talking about like what do we need this year, right?
The one you missed, Space. Yeah. The one you missed.
Sorry, I was in the line. You had no time, Mike.
I know. He was the last one that I didn't have time for.
Yeah,
that's fine.
But yeah, like it's relevant. It's important for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know, Space. Anything else you want to chat on?
Nope. Back to the next one.
All right, perfect. So thank you for calling, as always, our regular caller that people are probably becoming quite familiar with. So our third host.
I have to keep the streak going. So
appreciate it. All right, Space. Have a great one, man.
You too. Bye
now.
Catch up.
Just a couple of other topics that we could touch on before we move to the next and final caller for today, Polaris.
Yeah, so not the thickest art ship section. It's usually
not
a
at
little
all,
bit longer
actually.
than this, but you know, we had a ship come out and stuff. So they did talk about the Saber Raven. They did talk about 3 new variants getting worked on, which is cool. And they talked about the Sulan, which released during IAE. But then the Polaris has passed its white box and progressed into gray box. So like it's hard to gauge what that means. I mean, it is genuinely kind of cool.
Yeah, but
we always have news about ships, right? Like
I was touching on exactly what you're saying. It's hard to gauge what that means. This is, by the way, the video that's playing is the white box preview from CitizenCon. So we are past what we are seeing on the screen. Yeah, essentially.
So yeah, it's hard to sort of gauge like how long is it going to take for it to go through that phase, especially because it's not like small ships. We get a bit of a idea that when it gets into the stage, it's probably only a few months away. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think this means we'll see it by Invictus. I think that'd be a bit quick.
Yeah, the big thing with the Polaris is so hard to tell when they actually started it. They discussed it being a thing, but like we don't know how long they spent on this ship in particular to get it to this point. So it'll be really hard to gauge this one on how long it'll take to get to live with us. But I guess the one
Yeah.
thing, the one that we can gauge maybe is like the Zeus is like, all right, you know,
Yeah.
it's been going on for about this long, you know, or the Galaxy is like, all right, we can get some idea of it. But I think the Saber Raven was an interesting one too, as well. The fact that that's
gold pass on that.
that we haven't had a gold pass on anything. The last conversation about a gold pass was on the Cutlass, and then that never happened. And now we're doing the Saber Raven, a ship that almost you know, nobody has in comparison to.
Oh yeah, I just realized it's specifically the Raven.
Yeah, it's like nobody has that ship. If they do, they have it because it's rare, not because it's good. And you can't even earn it in game because of all the legal reasons. Because it's an Intel ship, so it's
is the regular Raven already gold standard?
Yes.
Okay,
that's why I think they're doing it.
Okay,
yeah,
right.
I think it's just easier because they already have a playbook. Would be my only argument of like why prioritize this, because you can maybe snap through it quite quickly. Would be my only thought process there. I don't know if you had anything else to add to that, but yeah.
Not to that, but I've got another one that sort of flew under the radar a little bit, just because people don't tend to read the section that much, which was in the AI features section. So in 3.21, whenever they brought in the new AI behaviors, I think it was 3.22 actually. Whenever they brought that in the PTU, even on bad servers, like bad server FPS servers, the AI in general, at least in my experience, was still performing pretty well.
They do more
Then it went to live. Yeah, they did more things. They weren't just standing there ignoring everything all the time.
Yes.
And then we went to live. As often happens with live, everything degraded quite quickly, and then they stopped working. Well, there is a little bit. This is, I don't know if this is even news for you, Mike, but it's a little bit sort of news for me that it sounds like a lot of the issues that we did have with AI were not tied to server performance, because they're talking about all of these things that they identified. They identified causes of AI behavioral issues, perception meters not being recognized, like a lot of language for how their behaviors are working, being fixed or being identified as issues, which I have to see in game, but gives me a lot of hope that it is not tied to server performance. So when I do get a bad server, it's not going to keep being bad.
They've said that before. I'll believe it when I see it, kind of thing, because it's. I mean, you just watch try mining and waiting for a rock to break. It's just like, how can I not make the correlation that this AI is not reacting to me because everything is being bottlenecked, right?
Yeah,
like,
everything else appears to be like have an issue in relation to that. So why would AI not?
Exactly.
And AI still might, but at the very least, it sounds like some issues aren't. But that's why I'm saying I've got to see it in game though, because if the same stuff might happen again, the bugs that they might be referencing, I may not have even encountered yet. It might actually still all be server.
Yep. Yeah. So it's one of those things where, like, I mean, while I was testing the turrets, I went down to a bunker too, and they did shoot at me, but they didn't shoot at me very often. They didn't shoot at me very accurately, and it was just like, okay, we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see. I just can't buy it's not the servers, because then if it's not the servers, you're telling me it's been this bugged this whole time and we haven't really addressed it much at all. It's kind of like, what the hell? But I've definitely had bugged AI on a 30 FPS server, so it's like, yeah,
exactly.
So like, I get what they're saying. It can't all be that, but I'm sure it's a contributing factor in some way, shape, or form. That's why, man, I keep championing. It's so hard to have the conversations about anything in this game until server meshing is here. And it's like, I've been having this conversation for like 4 years, man. It's so frustrating, because it's like, you want them to work on this, you want them to work on that, but like, what is the point of working on those things? Because the argument of why they don't work is always, works on our servers, low server FPS, and you're just like, forget about it,
Mike, what's the excuse we're going to make after server meshing comes out?
I'm not going to make any excuse. They got to fix the game then. The excuse is, if it doesn't work, you either go back to the drawing board or shut her down. at that point. Like, how long can we keep pulling the carrot and keep doing that?
Mike,
So
you don't understand. Until the Arena Commander
Dynamic
team
server
comes
meshing.
back.
yeah, until the Arena Commander team makes dynamic server meshing, we're never going to be okay. You know, somebody in Twitch chat, Star Citizen 2. That's the next carrot. True. Man.
Another cool one another quick one that was from the features mission team, which is that sort of just more confirmation that freight elevators are going to be used everywhere.
We are on the same brainwaves. I was going to bring this one up.
Yeah. They want to use it for Blockade Runner, which, for those who don't know, is the replacement of Nine Tails Lockdown. Xeno Threat and other missions are being assessed to determine what needs to be updated to ensure they work with it. So that's cool. That's exciting. I like when they do use new features for more things to make them a better experience, obviously.
Yeah, and one of the points that I wanted to bring up around that is, well, they also said this like really ridiculous thing that they're going to have like a running race that you climb over things and stuff. And I was
Time
just
trial
like,
foot race.
yeah, which actually sounds super cool. I just want, I like was preparing for the comments of people slamming their keyboards and like, why would you prioritize this? You said you were going to do mining missions, salvage missions are how they are, so on and so forth. And it's like, I think because freight elevators were coming online, a lot of those features have to it's so close that you got to put those things on hold, because why bother if you're going to be delivering mining missions to your freight elevator? Why bother if you're going to be delivering cargo missions to your freight elevator? So like, let's just wait and do it the right way, the finished way, or as close to the more finished way as possible. So me seeing that just continues to allow me to have more patience for the specific missions I've been waiting for forever. Delivery, cargo, mining, salvage missions. Like, those are the ones of like, go out and get 100 units of this and deliver it to me. Those are the missions that I want, and those are the missions that I think are turned on by freight elevators actually finishing. And another thing is the freight elevators were mentioned by the economy team, right? So you can kind of say that the development of freight elevators is probably coming to a close for its first initial release, or whatever, tier 0, or whatever you want to call it, because now the teams that are more, I guess they call downstream, the ones that are like, all right, so the feature exists, how is it going to be played by the players? Those guys are getting their fingers on it now. So the mission team's getting their hands on it, the economy team's getting their hands on it, because that tells me that the actual feature is in a place that they're happy with delivering to us at some point. And it looked obviously pretty damn polished at CitizenCon and stuff like that, like amongst other things. So
a lot of that is making me think with the major feature for 323 is probably going to be freight elevators. It's certainly the communication around the feature is certainly feeling that way.
That's not a stretch.
We won't know until minimum an ISC at the end of the month, or a roadmap. I think
but that does not feel like a stretch to me whatsoever. With that said, anything you want to touch on before we bring in our next caller? Or?
No, that's it.
All right. We got PC 101 on the line.
PC.
The QA extraordinaire. Do you want them to just fix the game?
Yeah, just fix it.
Just fix it, right?
Fix it.
Great. Well, thanks for the call.
Yeah, appreciate it.
See you next time.
So what do you got today?
All right, so I'm kind of trending the line on whether this is on topic, but it kind of is. There's a feature in 2024 that they said we're getting, hopefully, is the engineering section.
Yeah.
And it occurred to me last week, I was looking at the Legionnaire, and I'm thinking, we're talking about how pointless this ship is. Hardly any ships have docking ports. So what's the point in the ship? We were looking at the sales page of it, and it says hacking. And it clicked to me, with engineering, that's going to unlock lots of other features, and I think we might get them relatively quickly. And I'm thinking hacking, because you're going to be able to hack ships to gain access to the engineering section, to lock people in rooms and unlock doors, because at the moment, how would I board Hercules with a Legionnaire? It has no docking ports, so I would need to hack that ship and open the exterior doors to board it. And I was thinking that's going to be really cool for PvP and also PvE bounties, because you're going to have to go in and capture the captain and take him back. And I
Yeah.
think like some of these features we're getting this year are going to unlock lots of other features, and
Damn,
they might come relatively quickly.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
maybe we'll get some jokes in the chat about how pie in the sky that is, but I don't think it is that far out there if you think about any visual that we've seen of a hacking thing. It looks very similar to the visuals of not just the engineering panel but also the minimap, right? A lot of
Yeah.
similarities there. So it seems like a lot of the at least the art side of that work is further along than it ever has been before. The gameplay side, hard to say, but I don't think you're that crazy far off. I would make a bet that we don't get it this year, but I would also I don't think you're insane for feeling that way.
Well, they've talked
Yeah.
about working on hacking in the past, so I'm feeling like it's just been a placeholder. We'll just wait until we get engineering in, and then we'll be able to implement this work we've already done. So I'm hoping, but I mean, it's copium,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
I feel like
yeah,
it's going to
Well,
we're all
it's-
hoping.
unlock lots of game features really
Yeah.
It's
quickly.
kind of like what Mike was saying just before with freight elevators. It's like, yeah, why work on these other things when you're going to want to interact with X, Y, Z, which you're making like now or whatever, right? And I think there's a relevant point to be made about the last couple of years, features that have been brought into the game or things that have been reworked specifically, have been made in a way that is really easy for them to interact with other features. So, as sort of an example, the way that they recalculated mining and physicalized cargo, we know that even though there's like a mess, we can get bags from other people to be recognized as like refinery bags. And then, all right, cool. So that works. We know that that's that material. It's not much of a step further for it to be able to do.
And to
XYZ
piggyback off of
things.
that, they did it with crafting in mind. So like to piggy, the same thing that PC 101 is saying. Can I, have my hit a copium and go, oh, maybe we get our first bit of blueprints instead of, because you can argue that we have true crafting now because we do, but it's just crafting very minuscule, very important things. Tractor beams are awesome, but we'd obviously want to craft quite a few more things, right? So I can make that argument as well using the same logic that PC is there.
Yeah.
Would I be right?
think-
I sure as hell hope so, but I'm probably not.
I think the closest thing we'll see is obviously the implementation of engineering in the resource network,
Mhm.
whatever they're calling it, and then towards the end of the year, probably at CitizenCon, we'll find out here are a couple of features. Hey, guess what? All of those piggyback off engineering.
True,
'Cause, like,
true.
we had that in mind, So and then that'll get worked on the.
And hey, I don't do this often, but Croncy, carry for a few minutes. I drank so much before the podcast. Tea, energy drink, and water. I have to pee, so just carry for a minute or two. I'll be right back. Okay, I didn't normally don't have to do this. Be right back.
Sure. PC, is anything else you think, especially in regards to the monthly report, is sort of leaning one way or another to things that we might get in the next couple of months?
Not really, but going back to the very beginning of the podcast, they were talking about the components.
The
And I
component
thought
repair,
about, there's different levels like your C, your B, and your A.
Mhm.
I think that when your components are damaged, the higher grade should require more rare materials, not just like
Mhm.
hull scraping like gold and whatnot. So if you want to have those high grade components, you're going to need higher grade materials to fix those higher grade components with their magical beam.
Yeah, I think that's pretty reasonable, especially because RMC, at least at the moment, is just way too easy to get. It doesn't make sense if I've spent all my money on this super important and super expensive component that I just get to fix it with duct tape. So yeah, I fully agree with that. I also think there's something to be said about there's no real element of like durability in Star Citizen that I think can definitely be used by modules. And yeah, if I spend a lot of money on a module, it doesn't necessarily need to have more health. but like if I am repairing it, it should probably last longer. You know what I mean?
I feel
So
like
yeah,
there
I
should be
agree there.
a cap for player-based repairs. So, like,
Mhm.
if my quantum drive shouldn't be as efficient, if I went to the spaceport or Orson, they should be able to
Yeah.
bring up to 100%. Any repairs from a player should only maybe be 50%.
Yeah.
So you still have to go back to a station to repair.
Yeah, I think Mike sort of touched on that with talking about how like the maximum amount that you can heal goes down each time, so it does start to wear out over time. And then yeah, you can take it to a garage, take it to a station, whatever it might be, and repair it there. And I think either of those ideas is fantastic as long as there is at some point I need to go home and I need to fix this properly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm back. I was
All right,
listening.
he's
I could
back,
hear
so-
everything. So he won't
Damn.
carry anymore. I appreciate it, guys. Yeah, I was like, damn, I really got to go. I normally don't have to do that. But I was listening to everything and yeah, like we already do have that cap at the component repair thing. I would just love to see it, like, I think PC mentioned it, like just work less efficient would be really cool to add on to that feature. And then, yeah, just that the thing that excited me the most about that was the actual need to go to a station to finish to properly repair it. Gives it doesn't take away value from the station anymore. It enhances it, enhances it, and gives you more more hands-on, tactile, cool gameplay as well, which is just I was just a huge fan of that.
It adds in
so happy to see it.
It adds in like options, like maybe if you don't want to go back to the station very often, you're forced to use up some of your cargo grid on either replacements or like like fixing. I was going to say fixing fuel, like tools and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you don't have that space when you're doing whatever you have. Anytime you're giving players choices like that when they leave the station, it enhances everyone's gameplay.
Yep. Yeah. I one of the other things that we tested with that specifically was it's only damage. It is not EMP, so you cannot use the repair tool to deal with distortion. But you can resolve distortion by having spares.
Yeah.
So distortion only applies to ships that were actively in your ship currently, but you could take them out, put them back in, or you could replace them with functioning ones, and the ship will come right back on. So there's a lot of cool things that are happening, and yeah, just interesting stuff that's gonna happen in the new year. But PC, I guess it sounded like you were done and just carrying for me while I was in the restroom, and I appreciate
that was my only real point I wanted to make was I feel so I'm really excited for Space Engineering. I think it's gonna branch off to different aspects of the game, which are gonna massively change like player and NPC bounty hunting.
Yeah, I mean,
we're going to need hacking.
The cargo refactor. We just need more cargo refactor experiences in the new year, and I would consider this year a success. The cargo refactor just changed the way we interact with the game. More of that, and I'm happy, right? Like I'm not expecting the game to be done, but I'm expecting like exactly what you're saying. Are we going to just still be blasting doors open and they just automatically open the way they do now? I certainly hope not. I hope we got to go through a little bit more and a little bit more of a challenge and that tactile nature of things in the future, whether it's hacking or some other way.
Well, they said blowing up ships is something that will be rare. You're going to have to board a ship to kill your bounty.
Yeah.
Exactly. And to jump on even more of that tweet that we discussed a few weeks ago, where CIG, maybe we discussed it on here, maybe not actually, but just in case we didn't, CIG posted a tweet about the containers, the SCU containers, and we're like, and by the way, you can hack them with the chip, and everybody went in game and tried to hack them with the chip, and you couldn't. So they spoiled some ideas of what they want to do in the future. The last thing before we let you go, PC, I only think you're wrong because of that stuff around hacking. Because of that tweet where we're using a hacking chip and it's just is probably automatic, and the new mission with the hacking chips. It was like, damn, if hacking was close, they wouldn't have done that stuff. So I was like, oh, that's like a dagger
Yeah.
for hacking. I was like, damn, that sucks. I certainly hope you're right, and they certainly are going to be able to utilize the UI work, but I don't know how far away it is just simply because of that.
No, we have to have some kind of remote hacking. Otherwise, that Legionnaire ship, how are you going to board ships that have ramp? How are you going to board a Hercules with that
No, yeah.
ship?
Are
I
they
have no doubt
past
that it
putting the
will.
Legionnaire in without hacking? Do you think that do you think they'll put the Legionnaire in without hacking, or do you think that they have to put it in with hacking? Because I don't think CIG
Well, they have
has to
to.
do
I-
anything
I don't think they will,
because they don't give a shit.
I don't think they will put it in just because I don't think we're getting that for a very long time anyway. I think that ship is going to be one of the like last 5, or at least that kind of ship, because there may be another one that comes out, right?
That ship
think
was
that's
very
shown
far away.
at CitizenCon in the 12 months or so prioritized
Was it?
ships. Yep.
No.
The Legionnaire was in that like a silhouette video. Am I right, guys? I'm 99% sure. I'm pretty sure that ship was in the silhouette. It was? Okay. So,
Damn.
yeah. And I will not put it past CIG to deliver that ship without hacking. Or if
Yeah.
they do hacking,
add a
it will,
ship that doesn't have its features.
yeah, if they do hacking, do you know what the hacking's going to be like? Structural salvage. That's my guess. Is it'll come in and they'll
It'll be
be
a
like,
hacking beam.
maybe, to be honest, it'll probably be like, you got to get close to the ship, you got to disable it,
Yeah.
and then you press a button and the hack will happen without you interacting with it as a placeholder for them making the actual gameplay in the future. That and we just have to ask ourselves, is that okay or is that not okay? I think this is going to be a surprise to some people. I'm over it. I'm okay with it. Like it's not good at all, but that's how I think every feature is coming in this year.
I don't feel like there's enough gameplay for hacking to be that valued anyway. Like at the
I don't know.
moment.
Me and PC are
redefines
gonna
a lot of
what am I
current
what would I be
gameplay.
hacking?
me and
What would I be
PC are gonna
hacking?
double team you here. I
Wait, what?
disagree. Don't not that way. And not in I just think about all the doors that can be opened. Think about containers being unlocked. Think about hacking at a bunker and opening doors and unlocking rooms and gathering loot. Think about unlocking chests that are not yours. I feel like that
That's what I'm
there's
saying. So much of that isn't in game though. Like
oh, did I
that's what I'm
I
saying.
misunderstood you. I thought you meant that the current game doesn't carry the potential for hacking. I misunderstood what you meant.
That is what I'm saying. I don't think the current game carries the potential for hacking. Like in 6 months, it might. It depends on how engineering comes in and plays, and
I
it
think-
depends on what other ships come in and play. Because right now, if I'm in the foreseeable future, if I'm hacking a ship, I don't see any reason why I would hack it over destroy it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's going to redefine the NPC and PvP bounty because they showed last year about the new places we have to drop off bodies. So you're going to have to board. If you take an NPC bounty, you're going to have to disable that ship, get in, grab the guy, put him in carbonite, take him back to Hurston. It's going to completely redefine that mission aspect.
How about
Yeah, but
it's
I
gonna
don't.
reinvent
That's
bounties.
talking about Bounty Hunter version 2, which
about-
they haven't talked about in 6 months.
how about the idea? Well, they
I think they talked about it in an SCL once.
ISC
in that
they
time,
showed
and
the with the Seraphim Station, they showed the new stuff, but they haven't talked about it in detail of how
Yeah,
it
they
will
showed
play.
a location. which
Yeah,
was like
they showed the location, but not the gameplay. And I argue
Yeah.
it'd be longer than 6 months that they've talked about the actual gameplay. But
Probably, yeah.
I will argue that there are definitely reasons to hack over destroy a ship. One of them being what we just talked about now. You might want to loot components off that ship. Rather than firing at it, I could disable it and think RSI Mantis gameplay. Just stay within a certain distance for a certain amount of time. You have hacked said ship. Tier 0 hacking, right? And then unlocking doors and everything that I mentioned before. I think the game is a wealth of potential for hacking if they want to utilize it in some way, right? Opening imagine opening the monster closets or whatever they call them at a bunker, and that door, instead of having an NPC in there, has a loot container. Think about SPK and hacking your crime stat down being a little bit different or the same, and just copy and pasting that around the world and saying, yeah, we'll get to it later. I think the world has a wealth of opportunity for it, but it doesn't. I'm still trying to figure out your argument, but the doesn't have tactile and enjoyable ways to hack. You're 100% right. But I think that there's just so much room to be like, yeah, I want to go to there, and I'm not allowed to right now. Comm arrays, everything, right? So there's already opportunities that we utilize now, and just copy and pasting that in more and more locations in more unique ways, especially player versus player. I think there's a wealth of opportunity there. It's just a matter of how. So, I don't know.
I think with all of that in mind, and the fact that, you mentioned that they did show the ship in the 2023 CitizenCon, I still think it's more likely that they would release it without the gameplay rather than a rudimentary version.
100%.
Just because, CRG, but also it's also a drop ship. Like, it doesn't come with nothing. It just comes with disappointment.
It's a cool ship.
So,
it's a pirate's dream, but we'll see. It seems like there's a lot of other important things that have to happen with that. We currently only have... It doesn't just need to come with hacking. It needs to come with docking. And we've seen how docking is going.
With docking at the moment, and it breaks every patch.
And they don't work at all. Yeah, so it's a problem. But all right, PC, we'll let you go. And I appreciate the call. Thanks. And we'll chat with you soon. All right, bro?
Peace out.
Bye now.
Cheers, everyone.
All right. And I don't know. I think that's coming towards the end for me. I do see Gail in the green room. Gail, that's it for our callers today. So we'll try to get to you guys next week. But first off, I do want to say, I do want to say happy first good stream on YouTube and not scuffed one. So hello everybody over on YouTube. For the guys who are watching on Twitch, we are simultaneously live streaming on YouTube. So if you didn't catch the entire show, it will be up in VOD form very shortly at the end of today's show, I think. So hopefully that's the next step for me to figure out how that's going to work. But Croncy should be able to walk me through that. Is there anything else you want to chat about before we say goodbye to everybody today?
I just want to say thank you to everyone who has subscribed to the new channel and has watched the first pod and now the second pod on the new channel. It's been awesome. I appreciate it a ton. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, man. So if you guys are watching on YouTube, make sure you hit subscribe. We did far surpassed my expectations on the views, especially after it started off really slow. YouTube finally decided
it was like 2 hours afterwards. You're like, oh,
I was like, I'm scared.
Oh God, I've made a mistake.
Yeah, I was like, I'm scared. We could have just kept the status quo and it would have been fine. And then it turned out to be okay. And I'm a worry wart, and I worried. So yeah, make sure you hit subscribe and keep me from worrying. Okay. But if you're over on YouTube and you haven't stopped by my Twitch channel as well, or Croncy's, you can hit the follow button on our channels, and we live stream a lot of Star Citizen throughout the week, and we discuss these topics on our own streams throughout the week, so you can stop by and have a much more one-on-one engagement with us. But Croncy, I think, is that about it? Did we get our phones?
Ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, hold.
Oh my God, Mike.
No, I'm good. The cat just sat on the. She moved the mouse, so I got to press a button.
Ladies and gentlemen. Unlike Mike, don't forget to answer the call.
Yeah, don't. And one day we will have a not very cringe outro. So that's it.